And Don says a whole bunch of stuff right here. What did you just say, Don? But his main mission is money.
This is the worst service we've ever had. We're going to the chump bucket.
Yo, 2 weeks ago, the CEO of CrossFit, Don Faul, was on 2 separate podcasts. I'm going to bet that none of you saw them. I can say that rather confidently because at this point in time, they have a grand total between the two of them of 130 views.
Oh my God.
You know that scene in The Matrix where the Agent Smith is holding Neo down in front of the train?
Hear that, Mr. Anderson?
And he goes, you know what that sound is? And the train is barreling towards him, and he's like, that is the
Sound of inevitability.
Don had to know that this thing was coming. It's almost like he's doing it on purpose at this point. That is the sound of your doom.
Goodbye, Mr. Anderson.
Now, before we get to the part where the train comes, I'm gonna let Don try to redeem himself, because I think that this part was actually pretty good.
I'd say the one distinction is CrossFit for everyone. No, the only thing that we require, though, is the mentality. And so a willingness to work hard. You know, there are a lot of, I'd say a lot of fitness brands that promise easy results. We don't. CrossFit's not easy. It's hard. You know, we ask that you show up, that you be willing to work hard. And, you know, what we're going to deliver is you're going to be supported by the most supportive, inclusive community that'll make that hard work a little bit easier, who are going to be there to challenge you and support you all along the way. And over the long run, what you're going to see is fundamentally life-changing results. So, you know, we when we talk internally, we talk about our target as the willing.
I wanted to play that first because the rest of the podcast, and there are 2 separate podcasts here, do not go very well for Don. Now, I understand that there's some of you out there that are like, oh, it's CrossFit Games week. I don't want to watch all of this stuff, or Andrew's going to dig into the CEO of CrossFit. I want to be pie in the sky. I want to believe in Santa Claus. I want to think the Easter Bunny's going to come and deliver me some eggs or something.
You're soothing to me.
I would suggest that before you do all of that you go and you download the Heat 1 app and you put your picks into that thing. Actually, I demand that you do it either way. There's going to be a link in the description. I make $0 telling you to do this.
Wow.
It costs you $0 to go ahead and do it.
Nothing!
But supporting the things within the ecosystem will make this thing survive for longer. This thing being the sport, the world of CrossFit that we all love so much. So by doing and downloading that one thing for free and putting in your picks for free, you then have the chance to win $10,000 freaking dollars.
Excuse me?
Don't just brush this thing off. Oh, someone else will do it. You be the one to help the freaking thing get off the ground. It's free. You want CrossFit to die? Is that what you want? You're probably wondering, I don't even know what the Heat 1 app is. It's like fantasy sports betting, but it doesn't cost you anything. You disagree with the fact that I put Laura Horvath in 4th?
Idiot.
Well, show me that you're right. Put her in 1st. I don't care what you do with it.
It doesn't matter.
Got all these little side games that are fun too. All right, we're done. You're back. You downloaded the app. We're all good. We can keep talking about Don. Well, here's the thing, Don. Explain yourself here.
The first quarter of this year has been incredibly difficult. The last 3 weeks, it's been like gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. You know, I know in that environment, you know, things that we all know, my team, and now in CrossFit, the community is going to look to me in terms of how I show up.
And you decided that the best way for you to show up was to do these 2 podcasts, which had a grand total of 130 views. That's how you decided to show up? Nobody saw this. Doesn't get much better from here.
What causes heart disease? Okay, elevated cholesterol for decades. Do you know where your cholesterol is? If you don't, you probably should.
This is the CEO of CrossFit. Get off the carbs, get off the couch. That's it. That's what we had. And now we have someone who's telling us the same thing that the FDA has been telling us. Oh, you're eating too much fat. Don't eat that cheeseburger. That cheeseburger is bad for you. It's like, no, it's the sugar. It's the refined carbohydrates. It's the lack of exercise. You're telling me heart disease comes from cholesterol?
I award you no points.
But I think you have to realize, anyone who has had success, you have to realize that there are some times when like the chips are falling in your favor.
You think?
Our leader is telling us that success is lucky. It's based on luck.
You know, it's funny. Like I got out of the Marine Corps. I had this like total imposter syndrome starting at Google. Like I didn't know anything. And then I spent 2 years there. I'm like, awesome. And then I was honestly stumbled into Facebook. I'm like, awesome. 4 years later, company goes public. Then I go to Pinterest. I'm like, this isn't that hard, guys. And then you realize like an idiot that like 90% of it is literally like you can map out right place at the right time.
All right, so there's a couple of jobs that he's had that he always likes to talk about, or people like to talk about him. It's like, hey, our guy was from here, but they were bound to be good. And he admits it here. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you telling us this?
I've been there a year and a half. It is by a huge margin the hardest job I've ever had. Like, it's not even close. There's not a close second place.
Talking about CrossFit right here. It's the hardest job he's ever had. And the host is about to tell you why.
Well, he interned at Google, went to Google, rode that rocket ship, then was like, okay, you know, what's another rocket ship? Went to Facebook, rode that rocket ship, And it's like, wait a second, I like rocket ships. Then went to Pinterest, rode that rocket ship, and let's just say he's been riding a lot of rocket ships, and these are incredible companies that he's helped scale.
The dude explains for you, it's like the trust fund baby. Driving around in a Ferrari and everyone thinks he must be doing real well for himself, but he had that money his entire life. Pinterest, Facebook, and then he gets into this thing called Athos.
My last two jobs, CrossFit, and then I was at a startup before this called Athos. Athos failed. I spent 7 years there. It was a phenomenal experience, but we ultimately didn't make it. Startup that didn't make it.
And then he gets into a startup that doesn't make it before he gets into CrossFit. So it's rocket ship.
Athos failed.
And now we have CrossFit. Don Faul, the hardest job he's ever had. The trust fund baby. Now that host guy said that Don did help scale Facebook and Pinterest.
Incredible companies that he's helped scale.
And now we're going to talk to him a little bit about what's going on this other podcast.
We see a ton of success stories, and you referenced TwoBrain. There are a bunch of these consulting companies who helps, affiliate owners run a business, and their numbers are, the pre and post, before and after are incredibly encouraging. So we look at that and say, okay, we need to now scale this so that every one of our owners is provided with the support and the resources that they need to run a great business as well.
But dude, isn't that the job of TwoBrain? Isn't that what they do? Why do you look at that and say, we're going to do it? TwoBrain does it. Why wouldn't they just go and work with TwoBrain, who's already proven to be able to do that well? And we're not talking scaling in the general sense of CrossFit where it's actually a good thing. What I hear scaling is it's an amazingly easy way to say that you don't do anything. I'm no longer making ladders. I'm having people make ladders. And then I'm having people sell ladders. I'm having people create the freaking stuff and the supplies to create the ladders. I have an amazing ladder business, but I no longer make ladders. And the more it gets scaled, the crappier the ladders get.
CrossFit was founded by a mercurial founder who had a real vision and had a host of real challenges as well, to put it in simple terms.
I know you're like me, and I know that you have no idea what the word mercurial means, so I looked it up for you. Subject to sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind. And the tone that Don's using there, because, we're all about tone over the CrossFit space right now, doesn't seem to be a very positive one. So in a way, he's talking crap about the way that Greg ran the business, with his unpredictable changes of mind. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Don says the exact same thing on two separate platforms.
Most people I talked to when I took the job, when it was announced I was taking the role, said, congratulations, why the hell would you ever take that job?
It's funny, it's my first week of the job, which is coming up on 2 years. Most common comment was, congratulations, but why would you take that job? And the first couple times I was like, oh, interesting. And then I started to hear it more and more, and I was like, gosh, what did I get myself into?
Do you not have an advisor? Is it not written out in front of you what it is you're getting yourself into? If someone hires me to create a video, I kind of ask him what they want it to look like. I want to know if I have the tools or I can get the job done. To me, it sounds like he undertook the role of James Cameron trying to make the new Avatar movie. Do you know what you're getting yourself into? You couldn't even run Athos.
We are at a point, I started this job about 1.5 years ago. CrossFit is at that point, 22 years old, and was at kind of in the midst of an existential crisis. This founder who had real vision came pretty close to blowing the entire thing up. Huge PR meltdown. The organization itself, for an organization that has created such an incredibly warm and inclusive community, had some real elements within it internally that were pretty toxic culturally.
I know somewhere in here I get into your HR lady, Annette Rivas.
So that's a two-part answer for me. I think that they are doing enough to bring awareness in, and I do think more people of color are getting hired than before. As far as bringing that talent is, part of it is quotas, quite honestly, where you won't hear, but truly it's like, this is what we need to do to target how many and bringing in more people of color.
And what Don's doing here is no better than what anybody did when it came to Greg. They called him sexist, a misogynist, and all this stuff, and they made these huge bolsterous claims. Who was the dude on the firing range who was talking all that crap about Greg? So Don mentions a toxic environment. He mentions an existential crisis, which I also had to go look up. Inner conflicts characterized by the impression that life lacks meaning and confusion about one's personal identity. I don't think that there was ever any of that when it came to Greg and the way that CrossFit was being ran. I think that everybody knew the mission. I think that right now, if anything, there might be an existential crisis. Nobody knows what anyone is doing. Everyone's running around like chickens with their heads cut off. But before I get too far away from these claims about the toxic nature of everything, how about you say what was so toxic about it? What was it? Because it sounds really bad. It's like, oh, there's a ghost in the room. It's like, well, where is it? How do you know there's a ghost? Like, you don't. But you say there's a ghost, now everyone's like, ooh, a ghost? What ghost? Is it Casper? Casper's a friendly ghost. Define your ghost.
We needed a vision and plan that the community that our team could get excited about.
There it is. Can anybody tell me what the vision is? What's the vision?
We had to rebuild a culture internally aligned around that vision and plan that we articulated, where we could build trust across the organization, where we could learn how to work together. And so, those were the first three things that, as a leadership team, we spent time on to really start to move the ball down the field.
Oh, the leadership team. Yes, the thing that you can have in place so that you can scale what it is you're working towards. Who is that leadership team comprised of again?
But to be honest, did I walk out of grad school as an expert on business? Did I walk out with skills that helped me on day one or day two of my job? Not necessarily.
Military man himself is telling you that while he went to grad school, he didn't find it of very much value. I really hope that the people that he's about to tell you about from his leadership team aren't held to such high regard because of their educational background. Wouldn't that be a shame?
How big is your leadership team? Maybe just give us an idea of who you have on it.
We have, two folks in our team who I would kind of characterize as founders. So Dave Castro, Nicole Carroll. We have a guy named Jade Coons, actually just hired a CFO who's going to be starting in the next few weeks, actually. We have a chief people officer, a woman who I worked with for, over a decade now, who's incredible. We have a chief product officer named Ben McAllister. We have a woman named Natalie Demore. And we have our CMO, our chief marketing officer, a woman named Jenna Halkett.
He rattles off a whole bunch of names right there, but the one name he brushed over is Annette freaking Rivas. I'll remind you of that name. Remember Annette Rivas?
This is what we need to do to target how many and bringing in more people of color.
Did a video on Annette not too long ago.
I do think more people of color are getting hired than before.
She wasn't very happy that people of color weren't being hired. She makes it a priority to hire people of color. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I've been trying to point out people who are hiring people for reasons other than the way that they can perform. Remember, if I want to chop down a tree, I want to have the person that's going to chop the tree down the best, not going to fall on my house. I'm saying that when Annette speaks, she clearly is hiring a person for their team, whatever it be, the leadership team or somewhere over at CrossFit, based upon the color of their skin, and it's insanity. And before I let Annette off the ropes, I want to let Don talk a little more.
Independent of CrossFit, this is part of, this is the big why for me around CrossFit. I feel like I've been so blessed in my life to have had the opportunity to play sports growing up, to be a part of teams, to be exposed to fitness early on in my life. It's something I love. It's something that's a part of my routine. I know for a lot of people, it's really hard. It's a real challenge. And, by virtue of that, I'm fortunate at my age to be reasonably healthy. And I hope to be able to chase my girls around and their kids around when I'm a grandfather, and that's possible.
You're probably wondering what I'm going to talk about when it comes to Annette in this. Well, Don right there about the fact that he's got daughters. Would Annette disregard your daughters, Don, for positions of whatever it may be that they want to work in over at whatever business practice that she wants to hire people into, or would she disregard them based upon the color of their skin?
And really have to have your own confidence internally, because you're not going to get it from those around you, because again, there's no one at the table that looks like you or thinks like you, right? Diversity is not the color of our skin only. It's really how we were raised in so many other pieces.
I don't know how you can possibly hear the words that she said on that podcast, having daughters.
It's really how we were raised.
Where at the beginning of this, you told us that you understand what it is you're in, what sort of world and what you respect so much about the CrossFit community, and then also work amongst somebody who has said stuff such as those things.
The average affiliate owner needs help on the business side.
I wonder what he defines as average. Average affiliate owner needs help on the business side. All right, well, how are you going to do that?
A successful affiliate over time requires two things: creating an amazing environment for your members. The second thing it requires, though, is running a strong, sustainable business over time.
It's amazing. It's like if you had a bakery. The bread has to be good, and you've got to make money. You got to be able to coach, create a good environment for people, and you got to be able to make money. It's like groundbreaking, Don.
I'll acknowledge that probably the biggest challenge for us and battle is for over 20 years, there was no engagement between headquarters and owners. There were no resources. There was no dialogue. And
it was the fastest growing chain in world history, right? Went all the way up to 15,000 affiliates, right? And what do you think it was the media team was doing? Rather than giving it exclusively to the affiliate owners, they were giving all of this information to everybody. It's almost like they were talking to everybody. Like they were actually trying to cure the world's most vexing problem, which was one of the missions of CrossFit, right?
And then we're making a big investment in new owners. So we'll have about 1,400, speaks to the scale of CrossFit. We'll have about 1,400 new gyms this year. Which is just a crazy number, right? It's bigger than most of our competitors in aggregate.
And what about them you've lost? That's what I always wish. If I were in a room with Don, interviewing Don, I'd go, all right, you gained 1,400, but how many did you lose?
The fastest way to kill CrossFit would be move in that direction.
Oh,
but
no, that would not go well.
that would not go well, nor
Yeah.
would it serve anyone, honestly. It would
Hold that thought, because it gets good here in a second.
I think for a long time, CrossFit invested a lot in education on the coaching side and very little on the business side. And that is changing, and so we are investing really, really heavily in tools and resources that we present and provide to owners. Now, in a traditional franchise world, most of those things would be mandated and required. There would be no choices. We're not going to move in that direction. And if you look at our track record over the last 2 years, you'll see we're not forcing these education series, tools, resources. We're still leaving it up to the owner. We're just making them available. And then I think a huge part of our job and responsibility is to show our owners and show the community why investing in those things is better for them and better for their community.
So we're not going to tell you that you need to do things, but we're going to very, very sternly advise that you listen to the things that we're going to tell you. You don't have to use them like a franchise, but we're going to suggest that you do use them strongly.
We've now got, close to 3,000 gyms using our affiliate programming, up from about 700 or 800 a year and a half ago. That's the model that we want to try to invest in. So
we're not going to make you use it, but it's something that we want you to do, almost like a franchise. We want you to all follow the same program, like a franchise.
Having autonomy doesn't mean that you can deliver a shitty experience. That is not acceptable. And again, because there's a cost to that, to your members and to every other affiliate in the community.
That Orange Theory that I went to in Florida, that one was, oh no, it can't be. There can't be a bad Orange Theory in Florida, like a franchise.
To do that, we're going to continue to set a high standard, because fundamentally it's always been at the root of what has made CrossFit successful. We use the words virtuosity, the pursuit of virtuosity, excellence. That's how we're going to reach the next X million people.
That was a nice try, Don, but it's doing the common uncommonly well. You used the word virtuosity to define the word virtuosity.
Virtuosity, the pursuit of virtuosity, excellence.
Like it's incredible how much media, like the Morning Chalk Up, never would exist if it wasn't for CrossFit. It's just about CrossFit. That's wild, right?
Nobody would know who Rich Froning is if it weren't for CrossFit.
Don, what are your thoughts on CrossFit legend Rich Froning?
This is what these people want to talk about. Everyone just sitting there is like, yeah, leadership, yeah. Hey, can I talk about Rich Froning?
We have to be mindful of is we're a super small team. HQ, we've got, again, 13,000 gyms, hundreds of thousands of coaches. We have a sport, we have an education business, we have affiliation, and we've got about 160 employees.
I really wanted to make you happy, but my dick's only 3 inches long.
Oh, well.
It's a really small penis. How many times can you tell her that you got a small penis before she just has to get used to it or go somewhere else? Like, what do you want us to do? Get used to it? Maybe you should use your tongue.
We are tiny. And so we have to be really mindful of not trying to take on too many things. I want to make sure the things we do well. Again, they're core to what we do. And then the other piece is, I think for us, is how do we think about being a great partner and platform to all of those third-party folks who can innovate?
You want to make sure the things that you do well. I told you that these podcasts have a combined view total of 130. We gotta be very mindful of the things that we do. It's like, I am the CEO of CrossFit, and I'm gonna make sure that my message gets to as many people as possible all at once, and I'm gonna spend 2 hours, one of them's on site, 130 views.
How do we create the conditions where they can create extraordinary value for our community? So our endemic media, Talking Elite Fitness, Morning Chalk Up, awesome. That didn't exist 10 years ago. That's great. How do we partner with them to make sure the media that's created for our ecosystem serves affiliates and serves our long-term outcomes?
You fire Sean Woodland! Or don't hire him. Maybe you didn't fire him, but you didn't hire him to be back at CrossFit this year. Once you understand that what he said right there is not the truth, it opens a door to everything else. Like, what else is he not telling you the truth about? Because clearly,
obviously,
everybody can see that he is not being honest with what he said right there. We are going to partner with stuff like Talking Elite Fitness, and they've removed the main member who's been there forever, and now we're here.
We have our community. How do we best serve and support them? We have our team, our employees. How do we best serve and support them? And then we have our investors and our ownership. And I'd say, there's a exceptionally high degree of overlap between the community and our team.
Hey, Frank, you're going to want to hear this.
There are areas where on the investor side, there isn't perfect overlap. I'd say there's more overlap than I'd say most folks, might think. So I think it's very easy to say, private equity, all they care about is this. And They care about a totally different set of things than the community. The truth is, there's a really good degree of overlap. At the end of the day, what makes CrossFit most valuable for any investor, the vast majority of that are the things that are best for the community as well.
No, he has to say that, right? Is it possible that it's the truth and that he has to say that? Sure. But we're about to poke a whole bunch of holes in that.
You know, the more people we reach, the more healthy, successful, strong, sustainable affiliates that we have, having a really strong, robust education business and coaching ecosystem, making sure the brand is incredibly healthy, it's well respected, it has broad awareness, it has a trajectory of growth. When you think about what a future owner of CrossFit might care about, it's all of those things.
This is fundamentally different than what it was for the longest time when everybody came aboard in the first place. He talks about the brand, but the strength in the brand came from being badass. You're a military man, Don. You know this. Talk about being a healthy, successful, strong. You say all these things, but nowhere in here you say that we have the cure for the world's most vexing problem. Nowhere in here you say fitness in 100 words, eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, little starch, no sugar, some fruit, all that stuff.
I want to be here because it's a brand that changed my life. It's a brand that I think has extraordinary potential. I hope that folks are doing a podcast in 50, 60 years and they're talking about the impact CrossFit had on the world, on health. That's my success horizon. And so at the end of the day, our job is to tee up those trade-offs and considerations to make decisions that are in best in service of a healthy community and healthy brand.
If all of those things are true, Don, then why is it that the only thing that you talk about when it comes to success at this present moment in time are metrics of money?
I'm Mr. Krabs, and I like money.
It isn't bad. It isn't. I know at some point in this, you're like, oh, everyone doesn't like it when we make money, but you can't say all of the stuff in 50, 60 years. This has to be what's important to us. And then all you do ever is talk about money.
We gonna make some money.
That is when push comes to shove. That's what it comes down to every single time for you, because it is your job as the CEO. Your job as the CEO isn't to actually do the things you just said right there.
Closing last year, we had the best affiliate retention in the history of the company.
It has to have been before you put that new price point in play. It has to be. So that's a very unique way to pigeon the head in there, isn't it?
We had the highest confidence in the future of the brand from our owners that we've seen since we started measuring it.
Since we started measuring it? You talking about the surveys? This is the highest concentration of C4 ever in a can of C4 since we actually started measuring it. You know, there could have been anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 milligrams of caffeine in there, but we just started measuring it and it's got 200, and now we know. The best amount of caffeine grams since we started measuring it.
Business is profitable again. We are driving earnings growth again.
Nice.
It is nice when you jack the prices up so you can lose literally half of the affiliates, and then all of a sudden you got a profitable business again. It's like when the 300 Spartans throw babies off of the mountain. It's like, yeah, we have the best children in the world because we got rid of the bad ones.
There's always in the CrossFit community a whole ton of debate and speculation. We change prices and there's a lot of discussion about it. When you look at the core fundamentals, they're really healthy. We're growing.
I put up a post about this clip and everyone in there smells exactly what you're throwing down. We're making money. We're making money. We're making money. We're healthy. We're good. We're growing.
5-letter word for happiness. Money.
We grew last year, a 24-year-old fitness brand that is already the largest in the world. We are growing again. And I expect we'll grow even faster this year. You know, we'll see when the data comes out. But if you look at the CrossFit Open and participation, viewership, all of it's up year on year.
He talks about retention in the affiliates, and he brings it up last year, but then he brings up the present day open. You're measuring growth based upon the open?
Don't do it, Goblin!
You're legitimately measuring things based upon a live stream? In the same world where I've proven that Bryce Smith has purchased tens of thousands of followers.
We are who we choose to be.
Factual stuff out there, that there are purchasable live stream people over at CrossFit based upon the spikes and the drops of the one where they're sitting in Medeiros' garage. Oh, where do those 50,000 live viewers go? You're going to use those as your metric, Don?
Idiot.
Our mission as a company is to make the world a healthier place.
There's the mission. There's your mission. We're gonna make the world a healthier place. I think I made that same mission statement when I was in 3rd grade. I just want everyone to be happy, sunshine and rainbows. We went from Greg Glassman, and now we want everyone to be a healthier place. We should all hold hands and sing Kumbaya at the same time.
And CrossFit, that word health and fitness now has been, I'd say in the last 12 to 18 months, has become, let's call it the most popular marketing lingo increasingly in the fitness space. CrossFit's been talking about its impact on health for over a decade.
What are you talking about? Health and fitness only now is becoming popular? And now we sound like a bunch of hippies. That's not the word. A hipster? What is it called when you find something first? Like, oh, I heard of that band 10 years ago.
And we are at a moment in time now where, societal health is in crisis, like full on crisis. It's bad. And when I look at where I would like for us to be, for CrossFit to be in 2030, first and foremost, I want us to have changed and impacted a heck of a lot more lives. So
say what you want about the Liver King, but the Liver King has impacted way more lives than Don Faul has. Sure, he had some crazy ways to go about it, and sure, he took a buttload of steroids, but that dude 100% got people off the carbs and off the couch, something that Don failed to mention in this podcast. He had people working their way away from the 5 buckets of death. I think in the later podcast he mentions the 4 horsemen of chronic disease. And Don says a whole bunch of stuff right here, but his main mission is money.
Sounds like me money dropping.
And the Liver King, who made money, actually probably improved people's health way more than anything Don's done.
We talk about size. We've got somewhere in the neighborhood of, let's call it 3 to 4 million people do CrossFit today. We've put out this very ambitious, 30 million people. It's directional order of magnitude, really meaningful growth globally.
If you're not going to show me how you measure this, you have to stop talking about it, Don. Because that 3 to 4 million thing is the same thing you said on the morning chalk up with Lauren Khalil when she still worked there 2 years ago.
I think it's 2 to 3 million. Candidly, we don't know. We can't measure the number of people today who do CrossFit.
You said you didn't know how you got that number. Fast forward to now, we have the same number, and you're still working towards a number that you won't be able to measure.
6-7 years from now, we're going to be in a heck of a lot more communities. We're going to be touching a heck of a lot more people. If all of those things are true, this will be a great business. As a side effect.
You're trying to get into more communities, and the business will be great based upon the side effect, but it's the only thing that you've measured.
Nice clean money.
We are growing, we are making more money. More money, more money, more money, and it's fine to make money. But stop trying to fluff us up with this other stuff. Tell us the truth.
Well, leadership goes a long way, and especially in a community like CrossFit, where if left to their own devices, can get a little chaotic and intense.
Intense? I'm in a garage.
Yeah, look, I actually think, not to be Chicken Little, I think this is an existential crisis, not just for the military, but for humanity. So, if you look at over the last couple of decades, we are we can constrain it to the US, but a lot of these trends extend outside the US. We are wealthier than we've ever been. We've had, multiple decades of unparalleled technological advancement. We are sicker and less happy than we've ever been.
Don't say it, Don. Don't you dare say it, Don.
Fundamentally, almost every meaningful measure of health and wellness is trending in the wrong direction.
Don't you say what I think you're gonna say, Don!
50% of US adults report unprecedented levels of loneliness.
What did you just say, Don?
Started work here, having been in the community for 8 years, I would have said, hey, yeah, it's a great way to get fit. And yes, it benefits your health and your wellness. I actually think now the emotional and social benefits of CrossFit might actually outweigh or be on par with the physiological benefits.
We are no better than Alcoholics Anonymous with that statement.
I think our biggest challenge is we have real perception issues around CrossFit. I think most people look at CrossFit and say, it's dangerous.
Oh, well.
Or you've got to be really hardcore. Or, hey, I saw the CrossFit Games and I saw these insane athletes lifting crazy weights over their head.
You legitimately hired the It's Dangerous dude.
Hello, CrossFit affiliate owners. I want to introduce myself. My name is Jay DeCoons, and I think CrossFit is dangerous.
And you never addressed it. You had a perfect opportunity, It's Dangerous dude, to learn and to branch out into the CrossFit world and prove that it isn't.
Oh, well.
And I guess you don't have a media team, so you had no way to tell anybody about his process and to figure out that it is fine.
Obviously.
What is Jay DeCoons? Where is Jay now? Let's have a video on that. Where is Jay DeCoons? It's Dangerous now. Jay, It's Dangerous DeCoons. Where is he?
It doesn't matter!
And the beauty of the model actually is that you can have an elite athlete and a first timer working out right next to each other, and they can both have an extraordinary experience. Most people don't know that. That's our problem.
Why is it that most people don't know that? It's because you don't show them anything ever. All we ever see is either some massively overweight person or some elderly person working out in a corner, and then over here, we see these super elite fit people. Why do we never see them together? Oh, wait a minute, it's because we never see anything except for stupid little TikTok videos.
We're CrossFit athletes.
We have these perception issues that really inhibit people from giving it a shot. And so that's one of the things we're trying to work really hard on is how do we shift that perception? How do we get more people in the front door? Just give us a couple of weeks.
What I hear you saying is, how do we water this thing down? Pick up my can of C4 again. It's like, here, you want some C4? It's like, that's a little bit sweet for me. What is that, sucralose? We need more people to like it. Well, here's the watered down version of C4. Now more people like it.
As we manage the brands, we have a lot of people who come to CrossFit looking for a gym. Over time, we're gonna send members to the gyms that do the best job. And so if we can create a set of incentives where you are actually rewarded as an owner of running a really effective gym that has high retention, great customer reviews, really good quality, then we'll start to influence behaviors in that fashion.
I really don't know how I feel. I mean, I think I like it. I think I really like that. The thing is, it kind of already did that in the past anyway. The dog-eat-dog nature of it, or there's a CrossFit gym here, and there's a CrossFit gym here, you can open right next to one another. But now it's a little bit weird. CrossFit's going to send people to this one right here because it's already doing better, while these people are paying CrossFit the same thing. They're each paying $4,500. They've each taken their level 2. They're both operating, but this one's doing better, so they're going to get people sent there by CrossFit, nuking this one. Before they were destroying themselves, and I'm okay with that too. And I think I like this, but it just seems really weird that he said that.
Yeah. So our mission statement, let me start with that, and then I'll talk about how we get there, is to make the world a healthier place.
There he goes again. I think I read that scribbled in crayon in the bottom of the play pit in the Ronald McDonald House. I want to make the world a healthier place, Ronald.
I'd say like we are in a transition and change period. We have to change. And we have to change within a community and organization that doesn't want to change.
Remember how I said this is no different than Alcoholics Anonymous? Everybody who's currently in the CrossFit space is being unwillingly sent by Daddy Don over to AA.
Wait.
You gotta go, because you gotta change. If you don't change, you're not gonna make it.
Wait.
Don Faul said so. This is the same guy who thinks that heart disease is caused by your elevated cholesterol levels, by the way.
That there's a little bit of a paradox. You know, I'll ask people all the time, hey, we've got a few million people who do CrossFit today. Do you think we can reach more? Absolutely. Should we try to reach more? Absolutely. Do you think we're on the path to reaching more right now? No. Okay, so we need to make changes. Yes.
Who are you talking to, Don? Contrary to popular opinion, I don't think that we should try to reach more people.
John the non-believer.
When Greg Glassman says that CrossFit is for anybody and it isn't for everybody, the genius in that is that when you are indeed as inclusive as you like to say you are always allowing people to come and try it out, providing as much information as possible.
He's told us the way.
You go here, there, and everywhere, and at any point in time, they can join. But when you say trying to reach people, you're like a door-to-door salesman, and people just tell those people to go away all the time. I know that the most common thing about CrossFit is like, tell me you do CrossFit without telling me you do CrossFit. How do you know? They've told you before you even got to your first sentence with them. And that's great, that's fine. Most people started CrossFit on their own accord. They know somebody who did it, they see what has happened because of a result of it, maybe they stumbled across it on the internet, it looked really cool, and they stick around because they made the decision on their own. Not because someone threw a lasso around their head and roped him into the affiliate, drug him in kicking and screaming.
We are in a state of transition, and what that requires from us from a leadership, I have to push our team and community a lot, and we have to be really extraordinary at change management. We have to give people the surety that where we're going isn't going to ruin the thing they love.
We are changing, but who is we? And we are extraordinary at change management. Did you guys agree to a change? What are we changing? What's going on? It's like that scene in The Ringer.
You stopped off for ice cream.
It's like, when did we get ice cream?
When the did we get ice cream?
What are you talking about?
Founders' articulation and like the rallying cry early is like, business is bad. He was kind of genius in it. Business is bad. Making money is bad. Commercial outcomes are bad.
Watering down products is bad. I'm not one to say business is bad. I love it when people make money. I love my iPhone. Makes a whole lot of things easier. And I also know that the company that created the iPhone makes a buttload of money. And I don't speak for everybody, but I don't think business is bad. I think the way they go about it is probably not the best.
The problem for us right now is we're a business. We got to make money. We have to make investments in things. If we go out of business, this whole thing crumbles. People get that rationally, but there's almost this like deeply embedded, if something we're doing has positive commercial outcomes, it's inherently bad.
It's like you are in an echo chamber of only hearing one specific thing from people who are telling you information about the negatives, and it burrows. You said we got something burrowed into us. It sounds like you got something burrowed into you, Don. I think most people love the idea of making money. What are you talking about?
So we'll hear, oh, it's a money grab. Like, no, it's something that delivers real value to you.
The quarterfinals and the Open t-shirt do not offer benefit to anybody. Not any more than, this is the thing, dude. This is why they call it a money grab, because the CrossFit Open was $20. It was 5 weeks. And the thing that you got out of the CrossFit Open in 5 weeks, you also get out of the quarterfinals. But the reason people call it a money grab is because it's an additional $30 for an extra weekend of competition that was accomplished for a cheaper way and a better way just a few years earlier. And the CrossFit Open t-shirt, there is no benefit to a CrossFit Open participation t-shirt. What does it benefit? It keeps you warm. Tells everybody that you did the Open, which again makes it a benefit for you.
We raised prices on gyms for the first time in 12 years. We knew that was going to be hard and very unpopular. It was, we were correct, but largely successful. And that's still something we're working through right now. Really good success on financial outcomes and getting to a place where we have a path now to being financially where we want and need to be. You know, we're profitable, cash flow positive.
Guys, if everybody knows that dude that tries to convince the chick to sleep with him. Oh, you've never had a penis like this before.
Prepare to die.
I'm gonna rock your world.
I must break you.
All night long.
I can do it myself.
And then you know what happens? 3 seconds.
I'm done apologizing.
That's what Don's doing. He's telling everybody, he's telling all of you, all of us, you gotta change, it's okay. Do what I say. It's gonna be good. And then it's 3 seconds. Like those rabbits in the Hatfield video.
Yeah, so, you know, that's you know, at the core of it, you know, how I would articulate, you know, what success looked like for us last year.
Our mission statement is to make the world healthier. But this is how we articulate success to us.
Money!
Numbers, 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 numbers. Don Faul is a numbers guy.
It reminds me of money.
But what happened to making the world healthier? Mission statement and your true goal was to actually make the world healthier. The 130 views on this podcast, everything that you would have heard about would have been on something that we would have heard a decade ago from someone like Greg Glassman, whose actual goal was to get people to live longer and healthier and better lives. Cure the world's most vexing problem. Off the carbs, off the couch. But instead what we got is a one-liner about something from 1995 about how cholesterol is going to kill you. Next thing you know, you're going to say stop salting your food. Causes high blood pressure. High blood pressure is gonna kill you, right, Don?
When will you stop working?
When I'm no longer having fun.
Gut punch after gut punch after gut punch.
The last 3 weeks, it's been like gut punch after gut punch after gut punch.
If you've made it this far and you have not yet gone to sign up for the Heat 1 app, I'm gonna let you on a little secret. It's more important than you know that you download that app. It's of zero benefit to me, but I believe that the parent company is GoWad and they're dishing out $10,000 to the winner, and I wanna be the person in the space that you can believe, you can trust, and I wanna tell you that there is nothing bad and it's only good when you go and you download that app. Have some fun, enjoy the CrossFit games. Don Faul, quit being a freaking idiot, dude. What are you thinking? What are you thinking going on this podcast? These podcasts. It really, really sucks. I used to do this where I would end these videos and I would say, hi, what's your way out? What's the solution to the problem? Play ball. Play ball. I have my fingers in so many different things that you wouldn't have any freaking idea, dude. I don't want to do this. But the things that I say are the things that everybody thinks. And the thing that really sucks is that for 130 people who saw this on their own dime, there might be upwards of 10, 20,000 people who see it with my spin on it. And you know what my spin is?
Money, money, this, money, money, that.
It's the one from the people who you're sending to Alcoholics Anonymous, telling them they gotta change and they don't want to. So play ball.
I'm putting you in charge of me money.
And Reeler, out.
Yesterday, he said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. No, what are you waiting for?